Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers. It's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainashev and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
Here we are. It's lovely January somewhere.
Probably down in Rio de Janeiro would be lovely this time of year.
Yeah, it's not quite as lovely in downtown. Where are we? Concord?
Concord.
On Pacheco Street?
Salvio.
Mm. We're somewhere around there. It's
Todos Santos Plaza.
Todos Santos Plaza. It's a lovely 53 degrees, gray.
Overcast, yeah.
No wind
Kinda
chill,
wet.
though. There's no wind, at least. Come on, you gotta look on the bright side.
Yeah.
Things.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Sure.
The air's soggy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Soggy
here it's
like
hazy sun and 75.
Like a pair of underwear after going in the ocean.
Yeah, there you go.
Soggy and cold. Kind of drooping. Kind of dangling. A little sand in there.
Visibility is poor.
Yes. Very poor. Very poor. You know who has poor visibility? I think John Blickman.
He needs better, huh?
I have not tried his glasses on, but I'm imagining, I think he'd probably be blind without them.
Yeah, he and I both, I think.
Yeah.
You're blessed with, perfect vision, but
perfect everything. But we could put both of you in a room at the next homebrewers conference.
Uh-huh.
Take off your glasses and this
just watch this
kind of spin you around and see which one you can find the door first. See which one he comes out. Maybe like a cage match of half blind homebrew geeks. Huh?
The first one to find
There's our new show.
Beer wins.
Right. Yeah, the first one to find the beer and drink it wins.
Yeah.
Of course, then all your other senses start coming in.
Yeah, but then you can smell.
Right. Right. They're just like beeline for it.
Yeah.
The alcohol
nose.
detector would just go
Put a clothespin on your nose.
I think it would just have to be sight. So yeah, you'd have to be able to find the door.
Yeah.
That could be entertaining. Little camera in there. Huh? A whole new reality show.
It is.
I mean, they got the American Ninja Gladiator thing. This would be our version.
I know. I think
American Home Gladiator.
We get the AHA in on this.
Okay. Well,
the American Home Brewer Challenge show. Huh? I think. Speaking of Blickman, he's making some great stuff, and with that great stuff, they've got a Riptide pump. I thought was pretty awesome. That was the thing I saw at the last conference. I hadn't seen that before. I was just blown away by how clever they had improved a pump.
Yeah, all the little bells and whistles incorporated into that.
Yeah.
It really does a full job.
I mean, if you ask me, I'd be just like, no, it's a pump. Pump's a pump. But nope, not for the Mr. Clever John Blickman. And I urge you to check that out and other things on their website. Go to blickmanengineering.com. They got all sorts of goodies there and interesting stuff. And speaking of the conference, I'm sure he'll have something new for the conference to show. He always does. Always really cool stuff. So come to the conference. If you're going to be around Portland, we'll be there. John and I will be there. And Blickman will be there. Come and check it out. If you see Blickman at the conference, make sure to say hi to him. Say, hey, John Blickman, thank you for sponsoring the Brew Strong show. Or you can email him at feedback@blickmanengineering.com and tell him how much you appreciate it, because he enjoys getting those emails and hearing that his money that he spends on this is not wasted.
Yeah. So you probably should mention that's Portland, Oregon, not Portland, Maine. I know.
Well,
down east would be nice too.
Right.
But we're going to be.
You show up to one or the other.
Yeah.
Which one are you closer to? What they should do is have like two at the same time in cities both called Portland.
Vid screen, huh?
Or in every city called Portland in the world.
That would be fun.
Could have one all at the same time. Let's make that happen, huh? Somebody get on that.
Yeah. Porno Steve, you take care of that. Get on that.
Oh, okay.
Set that up.
You're right on it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, and speaking of right on it, you got your homebrew gear from Blickman.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I did.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So what did he send you?
He sent me the 2.0 Brew Easy setup. So 2 kettles. Mm-hmm. I think they're 10 gallons, 15. Then a tower power stand and the Riptide pump. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very generous.
I know.
And so what's keeping you from brewing at this point?
Immersion chiller.
So you got to get yourself
I'll
chiller.
grab it. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm going to. I've been pretty busy with music stuff, though, but I'm planning for hopefully this Wednesday I can pick up some stuff.
Right.
Because there is a local homebrew shop
yeah,
here.
There is. It's right down the street. It's on Geary. I forget the name. Shit.
Oh, in San Francisco?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. There's
right down the street from me.
One, like right down the street from here, too.
Yeah.
Over a few blocks.
Over a few more beer. Yeah. Yep.
Get yourself some greens. What's the first beer you're going to brew? You've already been thinking about that, right?
I've been thinking about it, yeah. I kind of just want to do a stout just for stout's sake.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Stout's a good choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hide a lot of mistakes in there.
Yeah. Just make sure whatever you make is not toxic or
Don't try to kill anyone.
Yeah.
I'll try not to.
Horribly contaminated, because I get a feeling I'm going to have to drink some of these, and so let's go with that.
Okay.
Like wash your hands before you start. Don't take your clothes off.
Brewing naked has got to probably be the best thing. The best feeling in the world.
Use like water, from the city provided water, not like water,
rainwater on my roof.
Not out of the gutter or something like that.
All right.
Use ingredients that you buy from the homebrew shop, not things you find in the dumpster.
Oh well, there goes a lot of my plan.
Just putting it out there.
This is good advice, everyone.
The yeast that you use, again, homebrew shop yeast. Don't be harvesting yeast off of, your body or somebody else's. Not out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
Not off of
I've been
some
cultivating,
moldy
man.
something.
I've been cultivating.
Yeah, I know.
There's probably a little packet of Fleischmann's yeast in your cupboard that's, been there for years. You could try that. But
homebrew shop. Don't listen to John. Homebrew shop. Buy some yeast. Yeah. Keep it simple on your first batch.
Yeah.
Because, and the other thing is to just run some water through the brew plant. Just do your first batch with just water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learn how it works.
Yeah.
Learn how the
set
system
it up.
works.
Check for leaks. Check for just get things heating up and transferring whatever you need to transfer, and just make sure all that works and is done, and then you can just dump the water and start over with making the beer.
Should I just run like PBW or Star Sand through the system too?
PBW is not a bad idea. A light concentration of PBW. Just get rid of any machining oils and any sort of stuff. Run that through there. Rinse it real well. You don't need to sanitize it because anything that's touching the hot side
is already sanitized through the
you don't have to worry about it. It's only once it gets cool that you need to worry about contamination.
Fair enough.
At least biological contamination. If you're dropping like LSD in there or some bathroom chemicals or something, God knows what you're going to do.
Who knows? Are you scared?
A little bit. Yeah, I got to admit.
You're like, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah, this could be bad. This could be bad. Oh, yeah. All right. No, I think we're up for the challenge, huh?
Definitely. Yeah, I'm excited.
All right.
I'm looking forward to that show. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Well, and just text me or email me if you have any questions or anything, any issues. For today's show, we got an interesting question from Philip. He wrote, "Hi, John and Jamil. I would love to hear a Brew Strong episode on double batching into one fermenter. I hear professional breweries talk about this all the time as a normal process. I'm curious what goes into consideration of what processes would change if you were to put two batches of beer into the same fermenter. Specifically, if I was to brew a 5-gallon batch of beer on Saturday and put it into a 14-gallon fermenter, then brew the same 5-gallon batch of beer again on Sunday and put it into that same fermenter, when would I pitch the yeast and how much? Does the oxygen need to change, etc.? Thanks. Love the show. Appreciate you guys' support for the hobby." Okay. Interesting idea. Good idea, Philip. It's something that we deal with at Heretic on a regular basis. The funny thing is, I don't know if I had done it or how many times I had done it as a home brewer. In the past, if I did it, it was just a couple of times at most, and so I've learned most of my stuff on doing it on the pro side, because we have our brew plant is about 37 barrels, and the majority of our fermenters all take 4 batches to fill. So we're almost always doing multiple batch brews. And the reason that it's done commercially, so there's a lot of things, like Steve was asking about immersion chiller or plate chiller, and a lot of times people say, "Oh, I'll go with a plate chiller because that's what the commercial breweries do." It's like, yeah, but that's done for a reason, because you can't make a giant coil and stir it in this massive, 35-barrel tank. You have to use a plate chiller, and there's disadvantages to a plate chiller when you're trying to brew, and having the ability to use a copper coil and stir it around in your pot is spectacular. But you can't convince people of that. Same thing in brewing your entire wort in one shot. There's advantages to that as well. And, as far as pitching your yeast and the temperature and everything being, I guess there's one advantage to doing multiple batches is if you need any correction in your brew, too high gravity, too low gravity, colors off, whatever, you could make those adjustments as well. But the main reason that you do it commercially is it would be ridiculous for me to have a 150-barrel brew plant to fill tanks in one batch. It's better to keep the brew plant running continuously around the clock, so it doesn't cool down in between batches. So you're not wasting energy. You're not having to clean it in between batches. You just keep it running nonstop. And that way, you size your fermenters to and your brew plant and your brew plant going around the clock. So that's just much more efficient use of space and equipment and time and all that. And that's why it's done commercially. It's not done because it makes better beer. It's done for economic reasons, or like the chiller is done for just physical
scale
reasons. The scale of things. So I'm interested to see what we think of this for home brewers now that I've had more time on the professional side doing this. Let's do this. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, I want to hear your thoughts about this, John.
Will do.
All right. We'll be back right after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing, and like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Hey guys, what'll it be?
I'm not sure. What do you recommend?
A lot of people seem to like the Hefeweizen.
Is that a German Hefeweizen or more of an American-style wheat beer?
I'm not sure, but I can give you a taste.
Okay, great.
The Cicerone Certification Program certifies and educates beer professionals in order to elevate the beer experience for consumers. Unfortunately, not every bar is staffed with certified beer servers who can guide their customers through a beer list.
Here you go, guys. Let me know what you think of the Hefeweizen.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely more of an American wheat. But I can hardly tell because this beer just smells like sour butter. I wonder how long it's been since they cleaned the draft line.
Yeah, and look at the bubbles on the side of the glass. It's filthy.
Somebody should tell these guys about the Cicerone program.
For sure. How about we head somewhere else for another beer?
Your server should give beer the same respect you do. Request quality. The Cicerone Certification Program offers 4 levels of beer certification, in-person classes, and course books for beer professionals. Check them out at cicerone.org. The Cicerone Certification Program. We know beer.
Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending mash and boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
Do you know the three most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. You know why this show is always in the afternoon?
Because we don't wake up early?
Right. Well, I guess
we drink beer.
Yeah. That way I'm not drinking in the morning.
Yeah, it's easier to have a couple of beers after lunch. That's true.
Well, yeah, I could have lunch, but I'm drinking now. So that's interrupted the opportunity for lunch.
Liquid lunch, man. Come on.
Right. It worked for the monks. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, if you are looking for places to have lunch, maybe a liquid lunch or lunch along with some liquid or some, things like, a copy of Brewing Classic Styles, which Steve is going to need for his first brew. A cool way to find all that stuff and to find discounts on it is to go to the AHA Brew Guru app. It will show you a bunch of places where, as a member, you can find exclusive deals to save money on beer, food, brewing supplies, what have you. And it works really well. I mean, where your closest location, you can search for things. It's even got, curated articles and a bunch of other stuff in it. And it's absolutely free for AHA members. You should check it out. If you're an AHA member, which you should be, download the Brew Guru app. If you've not downloaded it, go to the App Store or the Play Store and download it and give it a try. Doesn't cost you anything. It's worth the effort of giving it a try and seeing where your next discount's going to come. It'll save you money, enough money to pay for the AHA membership. So you should be getting that. All right. On the subject of multiple batching.
Yep, we were talking about multiple fills on a fermenter.
Okay, so John, what's the what's the deal on this for home brewers and for commercial brewers?
Okay, well, as you were saying earlier, I mean, on a commercial scale, there are economic situations, criteria where you want to keep the brew plant running 24/7, or keep it running enough that you don't have to waste time taking it down, cooling it down, then heating it back up.
Right.
Multiple batch, multiple fills to a fermenter is really, that's an issue that almost exclusively affects commercial brewers because of these economic considerations. It doesn't really apply to the homebrew scale. On the homebrew scale, 5, 10, even 20-gallon batches, you can easily have dedicated equipment to brew that size batch and ferment that size batch in one go. Mm-hmm. And that's really kind of the ideal situation because you've got a homogeneous wort. You can aerate the whole wort, pitch, size your yeast pitch to that batch size, and ferment it in one go. So that's really the ideal. That's kind of like the baseline. When you have to start looking at other factors and do multiple fills, now you start introducing more variables into the fermentation, more issues to be aware of. When do you aerate? When do you pitch your yeast? How much yeast do you pitch? A host of other things like that. So there are a lot of considerations to be thought about. I think your experience will help inform people on what you all do and when you time it. I was looking through a lot of the Master Brewers Association technical quarterly journals, looking for a discussion of this, mm-hmm. and found a real good presentation by a guy named Travis Audette, who works for Anheuser-Busch InBev, mm-hmm. and they're in the business of making lots of beer and making it efficiently and making it consistently. So they had some real good recommendations in that presentation on it. Mm-hmm. I guess, where should we start? Maybe yeast costs, temperature control?
Well, and I would say, why don't we talk about the impact on, fermentation of doing this? I guess that's the biggest question that the home brewer will have, right?
Right.
How does it impact fermentation? And usually it's like, well, do I pitch all my yeast at the beginning? Do I pitch part of it and then part of it and then part of it? Or do I do, oxygen?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of looking at the total pitch size for 100 barrels, mm-hmm. or, that would be a crap ton of yeast. Whereas you maybe start earlier in the process with the first fill, let's say 25 barrels, and pitch that amount of yeast and let that get going. Mm-hmm. It becomes, in essence, a mini starter or a major starter.
Right.
And then you can add more wort to that and maybe have more yeast. But, there's lots of considerations. How much aeration do you need? How close together are these fills?
Right. That's probably the biggest factor that's going to affect your other decisions, which is, how rapidly are you filling this vessel? If you're brewing, one batch, and then you have another batch ready to go into that fermenter in an hour or in 2 hours, which is possible commercially because, for example, in our brewery, we have a separate mash, a separate lauter, a separate kettle, and a separate whirlpool. So our slowest thing is actually lautering. So we can do an extra batch every 2 hours.
Okay.
So some breweries will be set up slightly different, or they'll have maybe 2 lauters or 2 pre-run tanks. Sometimes, it depends on what their slowest thing is. And they can get out a batch every hour. In that case, if it's going to take you, 4 hours to fill up a fermenter, big deal. You just, treat it like you're brewing it in one batch. You put in, all your yeast. You oxygenate every batch that's going in.
Right.
Sometimes maybe they won't oxygenate the last batch.
Okay.
But all your nutrients remain the same, and you're kind of pitching for that full volume. If, on the other hand, you can, as a home brewer, it's more difficult to do back-to-backs. I did back-to-backs a number of times as a home brewer, and I think it took me an extra... I think I could do it every 2 hours, I think it was. based on vessels, because I had both lauter and boil, and so it'd be 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, and you're doing a double batch, if you could get it all done within 2.5 hours of each other, or 3 hours, then I think again you could still stick with the whole volume.
Yeah,
but
pitch.
But if it's going to be one of those things where it takes you the next day, like in Philip's question, I think, then you're going to have to start thinking about, what has the yeast done between the batches, right?
Right.
So it's a matter of growth and a matter of
what phase of fermentation they're in, and if you've, I guess at one extreme, if you had pitched and aerated and those yeast take off and start churning out alcohol, and now you introduce more aerated wort, you could get some oxidation of the alcohols and get some off flavors that way. Get a high acetaldehyde potentially. If there's if a day long or 18, a day and a half long gap between fermenter fills,
right?
So that's one possibility.
Well, and so let's say we're doing I'm brewing one day, and by the afternoon I've got my wort in my fermenter, and then I'm going to brew again tomorrow, and it's going to be about. Yeah, see, I don't think you ever want to go past 24 hours, really.
Yeah, I agree.
And a lot of it has to do with the yeast growth phases and fermentation, how far along into fermentation it is. You could, and I think, because there's times when people are adding sugars late in fermentation on big beers. So it may be possible. I don't know exactly how negatively that would impact it. But I would say, if you're going to do the next day brewing, I would first I'd pitch the correct amount of yeast for the batch that you're doing the first day. And what's going to happen, depending on your pitch rate, you're going to get, 3 or 4 times as much yeast in there as you will have started with. That yeast, now when you add the second batch in, it's kind of like a new pitch. It's kind of like a starter for a new pitch, and of this next whole batch. So it should be enough yeast to do the whole volume. So you don't need to add yeast to the second amount of wort that's added. I would add oxygen. Sometimes people don't. Sometimes people do. It depends. And I say that because generally people are brewing higher gravity beers. So I'd probably add oxygen. If it's a low gravity beer, then maybe not.
Right.
And it depends on so many little factors. You have to kind of experiment and see. And that's one of the advantages of commercial brewing is you're brewing the same beer over and over and over and over and over. And you go, okay, well, let's try, not adding oxygen, or let's cut the oxygen in half, or let's double the oxygen.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to, one consideration, one thing to think about as you're doing this is you want to make beer, you don't want to grow yeast, per se. So that would be a reason to not add oxygen to that second batch. To, just introduce more food and hope that your pitch was large enough to have grown some and have enough nutrients for them to absorb the extra wort coming in a day later,
right.
And without any bumps in the road.
Which is certainly possible. the amount of oxygen and sugars added will affect the amount of growth, and the amount of yeast that's already there will not result in a lot of growth, because there's going to be a higher pitch rate for that. When you add so you got 3 to 4 times growth. Let's say you pitched the appropriate amount for the first batch. That's a 1, right? And then you've doubled the wort, but you've now got 3 to 4 times the amount of yeast. So you really won't experience a huge amount of growth unless you really push it with a lot of oxygen. So you may do a little less oxygen. What generally you were shooting for, and especially, like I said, if it's a lower gravity beer, maybe you're fine not doing any oxygen. If it tends to be higher gravity beer, which a lot of times people like to do in home brewing, the oxygen could add to the yeast health more than it's adding to the growth. So cell wall pliability, sterile production could be a reason to oxygenate that second charge of wort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, again, it depends.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to brew, of course. And so a lot of it's going to depend on your recipe, your yeast strain, your timing, and so on, all these other factors. It could be different permutations of when to pitch in terms of the number of fills, when to aerate, how much to aerate. All of those are variables that can be tweaked to get any combination of factors to produce a good beer. They can all, in other words, you can have multiple paths to the same goal. In going back to ideal, what we know is that single batch, single pitch, single aeration, fermentation, you get beer. Now, as you start moving away from that, you've got to be aware of how these different factors play together. Temperature control is another area that's very important in terms of understanding where in the growth cycle the yeast are as you come up to fermenter full. I would think that you start out cool at the beginning of the first fill, and make sure that the knockout temperatures of each of the fills are consistent, and get good mixing between the fills. You don't want to get any stratification of the wort, especially if you're pitching early. You could end up with high density wort, at the bottom, and fermenting wort on top, and only end up fermenting half the batch, potentially. And it sounds extreme, but this does really happen out there in the world, where maybe not a complete black and white 50-50, but impaired fermentations, incomplete fermentations do occur.
Well, and I would think the bigger the fermenter, when you're talking Anheuser-Busch, where they've got these massive, 40-foot tall, 100-foot tall fermenters, that can add to it. And I think, the longer you wait before you've added that second batch, the more possibility that upper layer is lighter. And again, this is for commercial brewers, where you tend to pump in from the bottom. With a home brewer, you might just run a hose into the top, and it will pour down and probably mix fairly well. And the fermenters generally are small enough that you could kind of give them a little wiggle, and get to mix up a little bit.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. The differences in scale. It's relatively easy to mix, get good mixing on, 5-10 gallons, but when 100 gallons, 300 gallons, now it's harder to get them thoroughly mixed.
Now, it kind of brings up a point of, what about brewing a wort, holding it for the next day, and then brewing the second wort, and then pitching everything the second day?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's almost what I do normally is, I'll generally wait to the next day to pitch, just because, I'm the coolest I can get my wort on an average brew day is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Mm-hmm. So I'll stick it in the fridge overnight, get it down to 65, and then I'll pitch the next day. So if I wanted, I could add another 5 gallons of wort to a 10-gallon fermenter the next day, mm-hmm. and mix them, and then do my whole pitch then. Mm-hmm. As long as your sanitation is good, that works out fine.
Yeah, your sanitation's got to be darn near perfect, I would think. Yeah, you do. You have to be diligent in that. But that's the way I've brewed for the last several years, and I've not had any problems. It's just attention to detail. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're saying about where you got to kind of find that sweet spot, and how many fills you intend to do, and what the volumes are, and how much time that takes, mm-hmm. In terms of timing that pitch. I mean, so what do you do at Heretic for your 100 barrel batches, or like a 120 barrel fermenter? Well, I'll tell you what. Okay. First, let me tell you about a sweet spot called Great Fermentations. You've been there. I've been there.
Yep.
In Indiana. Great people, great place. They've got some killer stores, homebrew shops. They're clean. They're well stocked. They're filled with intelligent employees that know pretty much everything there is to know about Blichmann products. They've got the largest catalog of Blichmann products on the web. You can check them out at greatfermentations.com. Make sure to like them on Facebook, GR8 Fermentation, and same on Instagram and Twitter. Top-notch people, top-notch customer service, and same-day shipping on many items. Good people. Check them out, greatfermentations.com. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I will tell you what we do at Heretic right after this.
If you work in retail sales, the restaurant industry, or are a new craft beer enthusiast, or you know someone who is, you have got to check out Beer 101. Beer 101 is an online course created for anyone wanting a quick introduction to the vast world of craft beer. Beer 101 covers the history of beer, brewing ingredients and processes, vital stats like ABV, SRM, IBU, and gravity, styles, tasting, glassware, and pairing beer with food. The Beer 101 course is offered by the Brewers Association at craftbeer.com. Also home to the truly awesome Beer Style Finder, a visual guide to every beer style. Quickly play with color, bitterness, and alcohol content to interactively explore the entire world of beer styles with a gorgeously designed interface to your favorite beverage. The new Beer 101 course and new Beer Style Finder are only available at craftbeer.com. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. If you're pitching yeast in your brewing, not like Porno Steve and picking yeast off his body. The natural harvest, he likes to call it.
Yeah, I think I cultivated some of that in the Rare Barrel's bathroom. A holiday party.
Crawling around on the floor with your clothes off?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. See, that's what happens. You get a party, you don't tend to your drink, you get roofied.
I'm blaming Doc solely.
It's probably, that's what happened. I can't see, you got to go. It's the whole Occam's razor thing. You got to go with the most logical explanation. That's it.
No, yeah. my butt did not hurt, Bevo. It did not. No. She's trying to go there.
Right. Yeah, if your butt hurts, it's an even better indicator.
At this point, your butt wouldn't hurt.
Well, not now.
No, I mean at this point in your life.
In my... Oh. Jesus.
And your career path.
We finally corrupted Bevo.
Well done. Well played. I'm so proud of you. I didn't see that coming. You blindsided me with that.
Oh, is this a good time to talk about White Labs? The vault?
I guess.
Oh, you got to visit the vault. You got to check out whitelabs.com/the vault. Is it the vault? Yes. /the vault. And they've added another 20 new specialty strains to that. And your pre-order that you put in goes towards, getting one of those yeasts made. When they reach like 150 orders, they release it. And you can see which yeast is kind of winning the race. And if it sounds good to you, jump on it, because these are yeasts that you otherwise can't get a hold of. And they got some really cool stuff. And, yeast makes the beer. It's 95% of the flavor of beer is yeast derived. And professional brewers can get in on this too. All you got to do is put a minimum order of 1.5 liters through yeastman.com or by contacting the customer service representative, and you get access to their unique specialty strains as well. I don't know if they want to mention this. No, they don't want to mention it. I won't say anything. Maybe I'll say something in the future. Yeah. No, I don't want to get in trouble. All right. So these one-of-a-kind strains at whitelabs.com/the vault. So check them out. Good stuff in there, and it's a cool way to get access to hard-to-come-by yeasts without harvesting them yourself off the bathroom floor. All right. We're talking about... multi-batching into a fermenter, and what that entails, and why you do it, and what sort of things to think about.
And you're just about to disclose to us.
Oh, I was?
Yeah. How you do it expertly at Heretic. We're waiting for these gems of wisdom.
The pearls I'm going to spew forth at this point.
Yes.
Well, we do a variety of things, and it just depends on the situation. So, you were talking earlier about one of the benefits of growing yeast. You're starting with less yeast and then growing it. Yeah. Generally, once we have a pitch of yeast that we buy from White Labs up and running, there's plenty of yeast to pitch a direct amount for whatever beer. So if we're going to do 120 barrels of IPA, we have the yeast to pitch 120 barrels of IPA. But when we start a pitch, let's say we buy our new pitch of yeast, and we want to brew something bigger than a single 35-barrel batch of beer. If it's a single batch, we'll just pitch that yeast. We'll do the single batch, and generally we try and make it a lower gravity beer that we start with. But for example, with our lager, we just restarted our lager yeast, and we did a single batch with the lager yeast, and then the next day we brewed another wort into that fermenter, and did not add any additional oxygen, just transferred it in there and done. And that grew up a sufficient amount of yeast, because we needed 60 barrels of the beer, but we did not want to brew a 60-barrel batch off a new pitch of yeast. So we did the new pitch of yeast, 30 barrels the next day. All the growth had happened, and we did the second.
So that was a case of adding wort a little later in the fermentation, no extra yeast, no extra oxygen. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right.
Before 24 hours was up, but after 18 hours or whatever, we give it plenty of time to do the growth.
Yep.
Other times we'll do multiple batches in. Like I said, we will be filling a 120-barrel fermenter, and we'll do it all in a day. So we'll pitch all the yeast at the very beginning. And we get some growth in between as it's going, as it takes all day to fill up. So we'll do that. There are other times when, for one reason or another, we're splitting our batches, day to day, and we will do, say, 2 brews on one day and 2 brews on the following day. And in that case, again, we will just pitch the yeast for the 2 brews on the first day, and then we will or won't oxygenate the first of the 2 batches on the second day.
Say that one again.
So let's say it's 4 batches to fill a fermenter, and we're going to do 2 on one day and 2 on the following day. So on the first day we will oxygenate both batches, but we will pitch the first batch for the 2. So we'll pitch for 60 barrels, let's say, at the first brew, and we will oxygenate both.
Okay.
Then we will wait for the second day, and then we could just run in the 2 other batches on that day. Or, depending on the beer, maybe we oxygenate the very first one and not the second one.
Okay.
But we do not add any additional yeast. Almost always, you add the yeast for the day that you're brewing. So, however much wort you're going to produce that day, that's the amount of yeast you put in. If it's going to be the following day, then generally you don't add more yeast. You don't add yeast for the entire fermenter. Let's say 120-barrel fermenter. You just add yeast for whatever is going to be that first
day of
fermentation, right?
Okay. All right. Now, it's interesting to compare that with the recommendations that ABI made, where they're basically saying you either got the short, get it all filled in one day, or if you can't avoid going over multiple days or more than 24 hours. They say if long fill times can't be avoided, then aerate the tank instead of using inline oxygenation to aid in mixing, to make sure you don't get stratification of the worts. And they're saying don't add yeast to the first fill, and always aerate the final fill. Again, this may be yeast strain dependent, or at least a factor.
Yeah, I think we might be mixing apples and oranges here. So, all right. So, if they're talking about, one more time here. So, as far as stratification, again, I don't think anybody's dealing with as big a tanks as InBev is dealing with.
Right.
And so, and generally, we knock out so fast that we're pumping a barrel a minute. It mixes pretty darn good, so I don't think that there's an issue there.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't think a home brewer would have an issue with that. So I think you can ignore that one. They're filling like every 2 hours. They're knocking out a new wort. Right. So now you're saying if it goes past 24 hours. Wow. So back up on that one again.
Well, their recommendation was long
don't put
fermenter
yeast
fill
in
times.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. If you're gonna,
if long fill times can't be avoided.
Right. If it's going to be more than 24 hours between fills, I think is what you're saying. You're saying what they're considering long is more than 24.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. If it's going to be more than 24 hours, you got to figure out something else to do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hold on to it. Again, you can hold the wort, and we've done that too. Where I can't remember what happened, but there was something that happened, and we couldn't brew the subsequent batches, so I just said, well, let's just hold it. I had confidence in, because everything's closed loop for us.
Yeah.
And heat sanitized. So I had confidence in holding the wort. I'd try and avoid that in home brewing. But generally, you just never go past 24 hours.
Yeah, I think that's the best recommendation there.
Right. And I think that's essentially what we were saying, too, is if you're going to go past 24 hours, or, you can hold it and then pitch your yeast later on when you get the rest of the wort in there. But then you should pitch the amount for the full thing.
Right.
And I guess they're saying add it with the last batch.
Yeah, to do...
Oh, now I get
but always aerate the final fill if you're going with that long time.
Well, and if you're going to do that, and you never add oxygen if you're not going to add yeast. So if you haven't added yeast, you're not going to add any oxygen.
Right.
Because you're just going to oxidize your wort.
Yes.
And you're not really going to do anything because the yeast isn't there to take up the oxygen. So don't oxygenate unless you've added yeast or are just about to add yeast. So that's part of their other recommendation, which that makes sense now. Okay. What else did they have to say?
That was essentially that point. Then the kind of their final comment was, be mindful of whether to not grow too much yeast in terms of how much yeast you're pitching to how much wort and how much oxygen you're adding and so on, because high growth, high yeast growth rate means a lot high byproducts. And so if you have very high cell counts, that can lead to, that means you're growing yeast instead of making beer, and it would also increase the risk of autolysis and off flavors. Right.
Again, it has to do with what we talked about, under pitching.
Yeah.
And trying to get the yeast to do too much, and also too much free amino nitrogen, too much oxygen, all this stuff ends up with off flavor beer,
right.
Forcing more growth than you really should. Let's do this. Let's take one last break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up with a couple of things for the homebrewer to do to achieve this right after this.
Brewing great beer is a process of continuous learning, and the best books on every aspect of brewing can be found at Brewers Publications, with more than 50 awesome titles like Modern Homebrew Recipes by Gordon Strong, Designing Great Beers, The Ultimate Guide to Brewing Classic Beer Styles by Ray Daniels, American Sour Beers, Innovative Techniques for Mixed Fermentations by Michael Tonsmeyer, For the Love of Hops, The Practical Guide to Aroma, Bitterness, and the Culture of Hops by Stan Hieronymus, and Radical Brewing, Recipes, Tales, and World-Altering Meditations in a Glass by Randy Mosher, plus many, many more. These are the books and the authors with the knowledge to push your brewing farther than you thought possible. And you'll find them all at fine homebrew and book retailers everywhere. And visit the website at brewerspublications.com. Brewers Publications, all the best on beer and brewing.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out, or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from the BrewingNetwork.com.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. If you get a chance, check out adamandeve.com for a great offer. If you use offer code Jamel, you are going to get 50% off almost just about any one item. And when you do, you get 3 free DVDs, free extra gift, and free shipping. Use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at adamandeve.com today. All right. So let's wrap up here. Let's give people practical information on what they should do. Let's say you are a home brewer, you're brewing 5 gallons, you want to fill up a 10 or 15 or 20 gallon batch or fermenter. So, brew the first batch and pitch your yeast?
Well, that depends on your fill times, how quickly you can fill the whole fermenter.
Mm-hmm.
So number one is understand, what your turnaround time is in getting that fermenter full.
Right. Okay.
If it's short time, then try to pitch all the yeast and aerate the whole wort at the end.
If you can fill it all in the day, I'd pitch all the yeast at the beginning, and I would oxygenate every batch.
Yep.
If you're going to fill it, let's say, in 12 hours or whatever.
Yep.
If it's going to spread out to the next day, pitch as much yeast as you're going to get filled in 12
hours
or 16 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
and then oxygenate that, and then the next day just add the wort in. You may oxygenate it if it's a big beer, because I always recommend adding additional oxygen for anything over like 20 Plato anyways. So you might add that or not.
Right.
Yeah.
1075 and above, add a little more oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Help out the growth and nutrients.
Oh,
okay.
Sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
And as always, watch your sanitation. Watch your process, because it sucks to mess up 5 gallons. It sucks even worse to mess up 20 gallons.
Yeah. Control your temperatures. Start low, finish high. Get a full diacetyl rest going. Get those byproducts cleaned up. You're probably going to produce more byproducts in a multiple fill, slower multiple fill than you would all at once. So be aware of that, and you taste, do a forced diacetyl test. Check for diacetyl in your finished beer before you start cooling. Make sure it's fully fermented, and you should be good.
There you go. All right, I think that was a worthwhile show. Solid.
Yeah. I like the question. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip, and all the rest of you. If you're interested in sending in show ideas or questions for Q&A, just email them to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com, and we'll get those questions. We can't respond to all the questions we get and answer them via email, but we're happy to put them on the show, and eventually we will. We've done probably hundreds, or maybe several hundred questions that you've sent in. So we enjoy it. It's actually one of the funner aspects of doing this show. So please keep sending them in. And if you like to support this show, make sure you support our sponsors. Email the people at Great Fermentations. Email Blickman Engineering. Stop by Great Fermentations. Get the Brew Guru app. All that stuff goes and shows that you're listening and you actually support the people that are paying for the show, so you don't have to. So it's much appreciated. Until then, everybody, brew strong.
Brew strong, everyone.